Business Foundations for Mums with me, Kate Butcher, is the podcast to listen to if you are a mum who is ready to launch your business, not sure where to start, or wanting to turn that sideline into something more serious. It will be full of practical tips, mindset advice, and inspirational and honest interviews with mums who are juggling business and motherhood, supporting mums in business to turn your dream into a reality. Hello and welcome to today's episode of Business Foundations for Mums. Today I want to talk a little bit about networking, business networking. Networking is something I'm really passionate about, and it's done absolute wonders for my business. So I wanted to just talk through some of the benefits of business networking, but also some of the types of networking that are available out there. And they're not all quite as daunting as a lot of people think they are. So networking is often seen as something that's really intimidating, where you have to stand up and talk in front of people, where everyone's looking at you. And that's a misconception a lot of the time. There is a lot of networking that is like that, but there's also a lot of networking that isn't. Networking can be as simple as going into an online forum and networking with other people in there. That could be a forum on Facebook. It could be networking with other similar business owners on Instagram. It could be networking by getting involved in conversations on Twitter. So networking doesn't have to be face-to-face. It can be done on social media just as much as it can be done in meetings, as it were. The other thing that has become a lot more popular, particularly since COVID and since lockdown, is online networking meetings. So, for example, networking meetings conducted over Zoom have become a lot more popular. A lot of people are now going back to that face-to-face networking, particularly those who did it before and maybe missing that human contact. But there's still a lot of meetings that do happen online. And it can be a really great way to get out there to meet people without physically having to leave your house. And if you do have restrictions such as young children and you can't leave the house without leaving your children alone, then obviously an online networking meeting can be a really great way to attend a networking meeting whilst still being in the comfort of your own home. You can switch your camera off if you need to as well, or you can mute yourself so people can't hear the children playing in the background and what's going on. And I've got some networking meetings that I attend quite regularly, which are property investment networking meetings. And I never switch my camera on, and I very rarely unmute for more than a few seconds. And if I do, it's just to say, hi, I'm here, but I won't be interacting. I will just be listening because I've got children going on in the background and I don't want to disturb the meeting. So you can still get involved in networking meetings that way. You don't have to necessarily put your face out there. You don't necessarily have to interact on all of the meetings that you attend. So it can be a really good way to start to build up your confidence in networking that way. And to learn a lot. Networking meetings often, and again, not in all circumstances, often are about connecting with other people, but they are also often an opportunity to learn more. And a lot of networkings have guest speakers or experts who come in and talk about something specific. So you can use it as an opportunity for accessing some training as well. Another thing which often puts people off is the cost of networking. There are some networking meetings which do have either a high cost or a regular commitment that you have to attend, but that's not always the case. And there is everything from free meetings through to much more expensive meetings that you can attend. So again, finding something that works for you can work really well. So the actual meetings that happen face-to-face, there's again a really wide variety in terms of the style of the meeting and what's expected of everybody when they attend. There are the much more informal ones where you can just turn up and drop in. You don't need to necessarily book in advance. Most networking meetings do like you to book in advance, usually because if they're using a venue, they need to have a rough idea of how many people are coming so that they can book an appropriate size space. But quite often you can get meetings where you can just drop in. And as I said, some networking meetings are free. Definitely check out your area, see if there are networking meetings around where you are, where you don't have to pay a cost, or where the cost is really limited or really small. The other thing that you'll find is that quite often those networking meetings where there is a fee to pay will often do free trial networking meetings or specific sessions for people who want to see what the networking is all about. And again, you can usually attend those either free or at very low cost, and you don't have to commit to ongoing meetings. That's something I've found is a really good way to figure out which meetings are right for me and which ones aren't, is by attending lots of these trial sessions, as it were, to see what works. So the actual style of the meetings can really vary. I've been to quite a lot of networking meetings over the last few years. I really enjoy networking because I really enjoy meeting people and talking to people. And they can be really informal, as I say. So I've been to some networking meetings where you just turn up, you get yourself a coffee and you go and find someone to talk to, and you just kind of move around the room. Everyone just stands up and mingles and walks around the room, and you just chat to whoever you come across in the room. And there's no formality, there's no public introductions, there's nothing else. And that can be a really great way just to start interacting, to start figuring out who's who in your area, who you can get involved with. The other meetings that you can go to are the ones that are a bit more formal. So then there might be meetings where you sit around a table and everybody takes turns to talk. Again, these can be much more formal or informal. So I attend a regular meeting, which I then since started co-hosting and have since taken over hosting. And we, prior to lockdown, used to have a meeting where we would all turn up and we'd sit around a table with a cup of tea or a coffee or whatever. Everyone would just bring a snack or something if they wanted to, really informal, really low cost. And we would just take turns around the table, just having a chat about what's going on in our business at the moment. If there was anyone new in the room, we would all do a little introduction, you know, who we are, what our business is. And from there, we would then talk about something that's maybe a challenge for us at the moment in business, what's going on generally, or maybe something that has been a real triumph and we want to celebrate it with other people. So networking can also be a really good opportunity to build up bonds with other people who are in similar circumstances to you, and to share your challenges, to get advice from other people on those challenges, even just to have somebody or a group of people who understand, who can go, yep, that is tough. I can't offer advice, but it's tough. And that can be really useful. Moving on, there are the much more formal networking meetings, and often the more formal ones are the ones that come with a slightly higher cost. And there are networking meetings where you do have an allocated time period to do a pre-prepared speech to talk about your business. These are meetings which quite often are set in advance. You have to be either a member or a guest to attend those meetings. And there's often a lot of formality about them. Often with those meetings, though, it's a really good opportunity to be meeting the same people on a regular basis and to be building relationships, which can be a really, really good opportunity, depending on what your business is, to start getting your name out there. A lot of the networking meetings that I've attended in the past as a guest have been the much more formal style meetings where everybody has a designated place to sit in, and they're done with a really formal agenda, and those who are not members can't stay in the room for certain parts of the meeting. Everyone in the room is expected to spend a certain amount of time engaging with other people in the room and connecting with other people in the room and meeting up with other people outside the official meeting times for a coffee, find out more about each other's businesses. And these can be really good as a place where you can get people to refer you on a regular basis. Sometimes, and again, some of the networking meetings do require you to make a certain number of referrals of other members of the networking meeting in each given period. And equally, some membership-based networking meetings do expect you to attend. You have to make a commitment to attend those meetings. And those are normally the ones that do come with a higher fee associated with them. But equally, you have a much more consistent group of people who will talk about you and recommend you wherever they go. And you will build relationships with those people. When I'm talking about networking is, there is networking specifically for mums as well. So I have been involved I have attended, and I have also been involved in organising and hosting networking meetings. And there are networking meetings specifically out there that are suitable for parents, that are suitable for mums to take their children along to as well, so that they are child friendly, so that it doesn't mean that because you've got a child at home that you're completely alienated from attending anything like that. And there are equally lots and lots of networking groups online on social media for mums in business. So just by searching things like mums in business, business mums, all those kind of words together on social media, you will find an absolute plethora of groups which will allow you to connect with other mums who are also in business. And if those mums are your kind of target market, then that's a really great place to be. If they're not your target market, it's also a really great place to be, because you can get loads of advice and support from other mums who are in a similar position to you and who are able to support you in how on earth we all juggle this parenting and business that we do, which is no mean feat. One of the massive benefits of networking, and one of the things that I was lucky enough to understand quite early on before I started networking myself, is that turning up to a networking meeting, it's not necessarily about getting the other people who are in that room to be your clients. It's often about building relationships. And sometimes that can mean consistently attending the same meeting several times so that you can start to build relationships, or, you know, at least relatively consistently. Because once you start to build those relationships, that's when all the people that you have those business relationships with will start to recommend you to other people. So, for example, I have attended loads of business networking meetings where I have talked to all the people in the room and thought, none of these are my potential target market at all. But if you continue to build relationships with those people, they might not be your target market. So as you know, my target market is mums who run their own businesses, but I have met at networking meetings, men who have a business, and they're not my target market at all. They're not a dad potentially, or they don't necessarily have anything to do with the kind of work that I do. However, once you start to build those relationships and you start to talk to those people, you will find that they meet a mum in business and they go, oh, hang on, I met this person at a networking meeting. She runs a business specifically supporting mums in business. Here's the business card she gave me. You can have it. And your name gets passed on. I found that once I started attending a regular women's networking group, which is the one that I've now taken over running myself in my local area, we have a networking group. And if you're interested, please check it out. It's called Blossom Networking Group, and it's based in Aylesbury and Buckinghamshire. So we don't just say it's just Aylesbury. We have people who come from all over the place around the towns nearby. We have regular attendees from Buckingham area, from Tame, from lots of the areas around. And we are planning on expanding so that there are meetings more suitable for people in other areas as well. So I'm hoping that that will grow in some way as well, so that it's more available. But we have an online platform with online meetings that's suitable wherever you are in the UK. So check out Blossom Networking Group, because there's all sorts of options, and we have regular meetings with guest speakers online, as well as some face-to-face meetups. However, I found that once I started attending that meeting on a regular basis, I find that all of a sudden I was being recommended all the time by the members of that group, because I've built relationships with all of the members of that group. And now whenever a question comes up in a local Facebook group, or even in a further afield Facebook group, and somebody recognizes that it's something that I can support people with, they will straight away jump in and offer my name as somebody who can offer that kind of support. I built my virtual assistant business almost entirely through recommendations, through networking, and through word of mouth through my clients. So it just goes to show that networking can actually really, really work to help to build your network and to build your client base. If you have any questions at all, I'd love to hear them. Please contact us on social media and let us know if you have any questions about networking. And as I said, if you're interested in doing some really informal, friendly networking, come and join us at the Blossom Networking Group. Have a good week. Thank you for joining us here at Business Foundations for Mums. You can find all of our episodes, show notes and blog posts at businessfoundationsformums.co.uk, and you can follow us on Instagram or Facebook.